The Zone, AutoZone.
Your home for the Badgers and stuff. This is WRNW-FM Milwaukee, 97.3 The Game, an iHeart radio station.
Welcome to the Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank and presented by Sewer Ninjas. Now, here's your host, Don Wachillis, and the professor, Dan Underberg.
Yeah. We all my. Yeah. Come on.
And a good Saturday morning to you. Welcome in Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas, right here on 97.3 The Game. Don Wachillis along with the professor Dan Underberg, the Polish pipe bomb. Jeff Orlowski is on the ones and twos, getting us through the next 2 hours as we cover everything in and around the world of college sports. It's a big day downtown Milwaukee, professor. You got Marquette, UConn. We'll get into this. Where I'm going is Ben Steele is going to join us at around 8:30 from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel to talk about the game. And one of the things I want to talk to him about, Dan, is you just feel like UConn this year is vulnerable. They're not the juggernaut they were the last 2 years, winning back-to-back championships. I'm not taking anything away from them. Very talented, obviously well coached. But if there's a year to kind of pick them off, so to speak, this to me is the year right now.
I get that completely. I just wonder if they're just waiting, kind of biding their time a little bit.
Oh, I see.
Together and just I trust me. I think Danny Hurley wants to be running on full cylinders every single game, but you just get the sense there's a little bit of Kansas City Chiefs to this team that you think they can win when they need to win, when they want to win. So let's Marquette. Do your thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't let them sneak up on you tonight.
And again, we'll talk with Ben Steele at around 8:30 to preview that upcoming matchup that happens later on today in downtown Milwaukee. Coming up at 9, David Gasper will join us. David, who you hear 9 to noon each and every weekday as he's in the booth with Billy and Armin doing No BS, but he also does the post game for the Badgers in the Madison area. So David will stop in and we'll talk about this Badger team. We're going to get into some football here in the first segment, but when talking about basketball, Dan, when you think of the month of January, if my math serves me well, and it usually doesn't, but I give it a try every now and then, the Badgers went 6-2, Marquette went 6-1, UWM went 5-3. These are teams that are kind of coming into their own and ascending in my mind at the right time. Now, granted, February, it's going to take a minute, right? We've got still a ton of regular season basketball to play before we get to the conference tournaments. But I don't get the feel like we've had in years past where all of a sudden you get the letdown. Now, I hope I'm not jinxing anything, again, as we start February 1 today. I just feel like everybody's ascending at the right time. And I think we have the potential, again, as we've talked about. I don't know what Marquette and Wisconsin could do to even eliminate them as maybe even a 16 seed. Like if the floor fell out, those two teams in my mind would still be in the tournament.
Are you listening to this right now? This is just like
why?
Poking,
what did I do?
The poking your finger in the basketball gods.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know what he's doing. That's your guy right there.
Wow.
I can't claim him as my guy anymore.
Talk about getting turned on in a heartbeat.
Wow.
Well, all right. Since I poked, time to jab. It was
big negative.
I'm just saying, I'm a Wisconsin sports fan. I'm just.
Thanks a lot, Professor. But again, you got the opportunity with the way UWM is positioning themselves, and we've been over this a number of times about the importance of the tournament, and the only way they're going to get in is winning the Horizon League tournament, because I don't care who it is in the Horizon League, you've got to win the tournament in order to get in. And they've got what I would call veteran leadership, all those upperclassmen, and I think that's the common denominator for Wisconsin, for Marquette, and UWM is the fact that you've got guys who have been there before, so to speak, And that's why I think the potential for 3 teams in the upcoming tournament is real.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think, with UWM, this team, what Bart Lundy has done, I think he's built a tournament tough ready team. This team is built for a tournament. So that's not a guarantee of walking out on the back end victorious, but at the same time, I think this is the best tournament team that he's had in his years with UWM. And if you look at Wisconsin and Marquette with the Badgers, my perspective on the Badgers is, this is the month that makes me the most nervous.
Yeah.
This is kind of the dog day, the back half of the Big Ten schedule where everybody's got something at stake now. And so this is where that senior leadership, that tough team has to show up. Marquette, I'm fully confident in. I think they can do what they're going to do. And yeah, they may take a look 1 or 2, but at the end of the day, they'll be tournament ready and good to go.
Boy, talk about just bursting my bubble with rationale there, Professor. That was something else. All right, before we get to some football talk, let's remind you that one of our great sponsors, Sewer Ninjas, they're dedicated to solving your home sewer issues with the latest no-dig sewer repair technology to minimize cost and disruption. They can repair your sewer lateral line with minimal intrusion, saving you thousands when you need help. You turn to the drain and sewer experts for Milwaukee and the surrounding communities. Give Sewer Ninjas a call at 414-250-8605. Or as always, you can find them at sewerninjas.com. Our thanks as well to Waterstone Bank, established in 1921, offering a full suite of personal and business banking products. Come for the outstanding customer service. Stay for everything else. Bank easier at Waterstone Bank. You see everything they have to offer at WSBonline.com. So we have to talk some football. I was thinking about this coming in today. The Super Bowl next week, or I'm sorry, the big game.
Yeah, can we say that?
You got to be careful on what you say.
Are on the way right now.
Yeah, the helicopters are hovering over as we speak. The big game is next week. We've already played our college football championship. I think I'm okay in saying that one without any legal issues. And it's that void now, right? We've had football, and especially during bowl season where you had it 6-7 nights a week, and it was wonderful. And then suddenly it's like they pull the rug out from under you, but yet you just can't give it up. Got to still talk a little bit of football here on a Saturday morning. And so the Senior Bowl, the Reese's Cup Senior Bowl, which is another reason to watch, to chocolate peanut butter.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's equivalent to the Pop-Tart Bowl. I mean, it's all right there. But when I look at the rosters, I think one telltale sign of the Badger program is the fact we've got one person playing in this particular Senior Bowl. Now, there have been a couple of other, obviously, Senior Bowls, and we've had a few guys play, but this one, to me, the Reese's one, is one that garners, I think, the most attention. It seems like the NFL Network is there. You got scouts, everybody's watching practice. It just seems to be almost the pre-combine, almost the what happens on the field part of the combine, like a continuation of it in reverse, so to speak. And to have one Badger player, Hunter being the only one down there, Hunter Wooler, I'm just like, this to me kind of indicates where the program is. And we keep talking about culture. We keep talking about, retaining players and all of the elements that go into it. But again, you keep wondering how much further can the program descend before it begins to build up. And when I see one player that's playing in this particular Senior Bowl, I'm like, have we hit rock bottom now, or is there still another level to the basement, so to speak?
Oh yeah, that's a tough one because Hunter Wooler is probably the only guy that I think is really, really worthy of playing in these Senior Bowls and putting that together. And I think is there another level? Well, there could be. There could be if you look at what the schedule is next year. There could be some challenges. We've gone through all this turnover again on the Badger roster. I think it's going to be really, really challenging to get to that place where you have another one or two guys that are there. The other part, though, when I'm looking at these Senior Bowls, here's my question. I think all the value from these events comes from the practices. People can watch them in drills and things like that. And I'm actually starting to wonder why these are continuing in the same way. You see guys opt out of bowl games, right? You see guys opt out of a hold on. Oh, look at that look.
Look at I've seen every single All-Star game now become a joke. And you're taking this away from me now?
All I'm saying is that
Pipe Bomb, the voice of reason this morning is killing me. That's all I'm saying.
Right, so we'll talk about something else.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, it's just keep talking.
Just keep talking.
The thing about it is now what are you seeing in these Senior Bowls? Because you got to believe, at least I believe, that a lot of the top round talent are now doing the private workouts. They're going to do the college skill days at their own fields and stuff like that. There's probably not left for your top tier talent, maybe 1, 2, and 3rd rounds, where they need to do Senior Bowls, right? So now you look at these other 2, 3 Senior Bowls and you think to yourself, well, why? What's left to see besides being on the field with them at the same time? You can interview the players. You got a better opportunity to do that, but I just wonder about it.
Yeah, you got to save these because, and we see it in the NFL all the time. They took all the hitting away. They took away all the two-a-days. These guys are barely on the field together. And so, yeah, you can do all the individual drills with your speed coach and your jump real high coach and, your lunges coach and whatever, and eat all the kale and rabbit food that you want. But unless you pad up and get out there, I just think stop messing with it. Let these guys hit each other. They don't hit each other enough. And for me, the Senior Bowl is great for the teams like Wisconsin. It'd be nice if we had more than one dude there. But let's go HB4. Make us proud, baby.
There you go.
But, it's good for the teams that didn't make a bowl game because they missed out on a month worth of practices that all the other teams that got to make a bowl game were able to participate in. So, you help the dust not settle on the guys that didn't.
I'm for keeping it. Don't get me wrong. I'm for keeping it. I'm just wondering how long they last in this era of I don't want to get hurt. I think where it goes to is the guys that are on the fringe that need the opportunity. And I'm all for hitting and things like that. But at the same time, it surprises me that we have the number that we have. And with all the film work and all the access to all the data that's out there for these, NFL coaches and scouts to look at, it's how much do these players want to risk, I guess is what I'm saying.
But is that a bad thing though? Sorry, Dan.
Yeah, no.
Because, okay, so we see it in the Pro Bowl every year, how much of a joke that is because no one cares. So yes, you've got the A++ talent, but I'd rather watch a game with C talent, guys on the fringe, like you said, that are giving 110 and care about it and make it interesting than the Shedeur Sanders who's going out there in flip-flops and throwing a ball around. I'd rather see the fringe guys actually give effort and care.
And that's where I think these things come into play, right? It's the guys, some of them have been Division III guys, right? The guy from Whitewater, Munoz, I can't pronounce his last name, and my apologies. I think I should know this by now because he was gracious enough to come on our show during draft week a couple of years ago. But that was a guy who made his name in a game like this, right? All of a sudden, he kind of stood out, and the various scouts were like, oh, wait a minute here. This kid from Whitewater is pretty doggone good. Let's take a further look into some of the tape and so forth. So, Jeff, as you were saying, there's a bit of both in what you guys are saying. That is reality. The Shedeur Sanders, the Class A talent, is coming out in flip-flops. They're not going to play because they don't want to get hurt. But some of these other guys who are still scrapping and clawing need games like this in order for them, to make a name for themselves, hopefully once we get closer to the NFL draft. And I still can't get over the fact that we have another T-shirt and then we just put jump coach on the back.
No, the jump high coach.
The jump high coach. I'm sorry, the jump high coach for Pipe Bomb. There was an article this week in The Athletic talking about Luke Fickell. And the more this comes up, we've been talking about this, Dan, with other coaches for a while, that once the temperature of the seat gets warm. It's the variation of the temp. You never get off the proverbial hot seat. It's just how warm the seat in and of itself gets. And I think it's fair to say right now, Luke Fickell's seat is warm. How warm? Is it 5 degrees, 95 degrees? That's, for people to debate about. But there was an article, again, in The Athletic talking about, would Luke Fickell get a 4th season if next year comes away much like this year where you finish with a losing record? There are some that say no. There are some that say, you know what, if it's what we saw this year, it's time to move on. There was one reporter in The Athletic who went so far as to say that after next year, Fickell would be fired and go back to Cincinnati. How that would all work out in his crystal ball, I'm not quite sure. But part of the argument for a 4th season is that next year you've got to play Ohio State, Oregon, Illinois, Alabama, Michigan, and Indiana. All top 20 teams at the end of this season. So the schedule next year is brutal, is basically what it boils down to. I'll start with you, Dan, and then Pipe Bomb, I'll go to you. Depending upon how things play out, hypothetically, it's a below 500 record. Professor, are you giving him a 4th year, or are you walking in saying, I think it's time to make a change?
If he loses the team, I think he's out. Okay. I think it's probably less about record, because you're right. It's going to be very difficult to walk through the season with a winning record.
Absolutely.
But if the culture of the team is lost, if you get the sense that players are ready to leave and make up, I don't mean just a few. I mean, you feel like that, it's an abandoned ship kind of moment. Then I think he will be gone, and the buyout will be made. Look, but if he finishes 500, and you see that type of improvement, then I think he's got another year, probably at least. So I think it's more about what happens after a losing season. What's the sense of the team?
Pipe Bomb?
I would give him another year no matter what happens next season. And, my rationale isn't as good as the professor's there. I'm cheap. And so, do I want to pay somebody to not coach my team and then cry poor that I can't keep up with Ohio State? No, I don't. Pay one damn coach and then use the rest on players to try to help that coach. And if he's the wrong guy, this is why you need kind of a GM over the whole organization here. Somebody who can say, these are the guys we want, because by the time that they develop under Fickell, if Fickell's not here, I know how I want my program to be run and the kind of coach I'm going to look for, and this guy would fit. So whoever's making that decision, you would assume it's McIntosh, has to sit there and pick guys for, the just in case coach 2 years down the road. But I don't fire him after next year, no matter what.
And the buyout is significant.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, as of this past December, it was over $40 million. To have him walk out the door, which I think is a reason why you get immediate pushback, whether the rationale is what Jeff just gave us or the rationale, Professor, is what you just gave us. I think it's why the Badgers immediately push back, because the buyout is significant. And let's face it, coaches across Division I, when it comes to football and basketball, one of the big things now is that buyout clause, because they know how the pressure exists from alumni, from the student body, from just the fan base in general about wanting to win. And so if the pressure is there and you're going to force me now out the door, that becomes the clause that I think gets overlooked a lot of times when the initial contracts are put forth. Everybody gets excited. We got a guy for 5 years. Here's what the money is, so forth and so on. But you look at that buyout clause because it becomes significant. And we've seen the Jimbo Fishers of the world who got exited stage left out of Texas A&M for what, 70 plus million, who's living his best life, popping on ESPN college radio every once in a while to give his analysis. Talk about somebody in flip-flops with an umbrella in a drink while he's doing that one. Hello, Jimbo. I would love to have that kind of a buyout. Matter of fact, let's screw this up. Tim Scott, we need you to sign something here. We want a $70 million buyout, and we'll mess things up and exit stage left. But that's the component, I think, right now, really, in the case of Wisconsin, Dan, that's holding his feet to the ground, meaning he's on a firm standing as far as the Badgers go, because they're just not going to pay that type of money to then hire someone else.
Well, I get that. I would argue a little bit that maybe Wisconsin's not going to pay that kind of money, but collectively other people might, and putting that together. And I just look at it that if this team looks more lost than it did at the end of last season, and players are starting to talk, right? They'll put it out on social, they'll do those things. And if you just get the sense that this team has passed a point of no return, I think that pressure, and even to now, why anybody would negotiate a $40 million buyout is beyond me. But there's going to be conversation about what is this going to take to move forward without you, because I'll go back to, again, if this team feels is lost, if it doesn't feel like there's any opportunity for it to move forward, I think it's a reasonable assumption that maybe he could not be here after 3 years.
Well, this is what we talked about, and I'm sorry again.
No, it's okay.
This is what we talked about a couple weeks ago, where it was donor fatigue.
Yeah.
And how many times can these universities keep going to the big money donors and saying, hey, listen, we need this player, we need that player. Open up your checkbook yet again. Oh, by the way, we're going to pay this coach $40 million to walk away. I think that this would expedite donor fatigue, which obviously is what you don't want to do, because you still want those dollars coming into the program. So unless they're sitting there and got a whole army of people ready to drink that Bucky lager or whatever, that's going to fill the coffers, I would be very careful paying any buyout.
Here's one other news item that came up this week in the realm of college football that it's somewhat disappointing, I guess, in my eyes, and that was the high school letter of intent, the recruiting. We then go ahead and we see ESPN or 247 or all of these other outlets begin to rate how everyone's recruiting class went, and it started with Bryce Underwood going to Michigan. I mean, there's talks of the coffers being filled in excess of maybe $40 million over 4 years for this young man who's supposed to be the next up and coming thing, so to speak, at the quarterback spot, going to Michigan. And then you get just by colleges, as 247 ranked it, you go Michigan, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Oregon, Tennessee, Ohio State, Georgia, LSU, Oklahoma, all the regulars, no shock involved. That used to be an entire segment, if not two, a couple of years ago, Dan, for you and I to talk about how does Wisconsin get out of just getting 4 stars and into 5 stars, and what will this mean for the future of the program? Now I look at it and go, what the storyline will be next year and the year after. How many of these young men are with the teams that recruited them, that they signed letters of intent for, and how many of these young men will enter the transfer portal because all of the promises that Michigan, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, all of these big names made and didn't necessarily keep, i.e. playing time, right? It's all about playing time. Yeah. So how many of these young men will move on? So it's taken away the ability to have that debate over high school recruiting. And now it's all about the transfer portal. So I look at this and I went, okay, Michigan, Alabama, Ohio State, great. You got all the 5-star kids again. You've replenished your team, but can you hold on to them? And that to me is now the key, because many a times you would have these guys maybe until they're senior or maybe till that extended grad year, and then they'd go someplace else. You might have a Keon Russell, the quarterback who got recruited and signed with Alabama. Shoot, he might be gone at the end of May once spring games are done and goes, yeah, this isn't for me. I'm going to go right into the transfer portal and try it somewhere else. It's
when you look at that, I think part of that is how these NIL contracts are going to be set up, and is it worth it to leave, right? And so the end goal for all these young men that are walking into it's hard to say their first contract with freshman football, but they're all working towards that NFL contract, right? That's their vision to be able to do that. So looking at that and thinking to themselves, okay, I didn't get a lot to play, but what happens if I walk away? Let's just say, argue $5 million. Okay. Is the contract going to be better somewhere else? Am I going to be better? Am I going to be closer to that NFL opportunity, or do I just stick it out? I mean, look, we could use Arch Manning as an example. Okay. It's like he could have played more, probably should have played more. And he could probably make more somewhere other than Texas based on the demand and the interest in him throughout the season. But Arch Manning has selected to stay at Texas, so part of that might be the contract that he signed, NIL. Part of that may be I've got my best opportunity to make it to the NFL through Texas, which is true. But at the same time, you don't tell me that someone out there could not pony up more money for Arch Manning if they wanted to. I think absolutely they could.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a meal plan you could get for $40 million? Like, I don't have a dorm room. I've got the whole floor. Like that. That's crazy. The weird thing to me real quick here is that you look at who's the big behemoth when it comes to sports. It's the NFL. Hard cap. Everybody follows the cap. Everybody gets the same amount of money. And the interest in the NFL is astronomically better than every other sport known to man. And here we've got college football and basketball running headlong into the NBA model and the MLB model.
Yeah.
Why are you chasing to become number 2 or 3 instead of number 1? Model your sport after number 1. That shows you basically the way the people like it and the right way to do it, and do more of that and less of what you're doing now.
No, I completely agree, because I think, we got to get to a break because Ben will be here in a moment. And I think maybe we can continue this discussion a little bit later. Again, after we take a timeout, Ben Steele from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel will join us as we get ready for the Marquette UConn game coming up later this afternoon, early evening, I should say, over at the Fiserv Forum. And we'll talk with Ben next. Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas, 97.3 The Game.
Slinging mud and dirt and grass. I got your number, I got your back. When you're back,
get ready for the grooviest celebration of the year. Join us at American Place Casino for our Woodstock and Wildflowers 2-year anniversary bash on Saturday, February 15th. We're giving away $50,000 in cash and free play with winners drawn every 15 minutes from 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. Participate in our costume drawing for a chance to win $500 in free play. Come celebrate our 2-year anniversary. Don't miss out on all the fun promotions and live entertainment. Peace, love, and big jackpots await. Visit AmericanPlace.com for more details.
Must be put in the years of age only. Keep or something known as gambling problem. Prices, counseling, and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
At Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, we have finance options for new exterior remodeling projects for almost anybody. And if you have the right credit, we'll beat your bank's rate.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code LAUGH to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code LAUGH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code LAUGH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Spring forward with real unlimited data from Straight Talk this tax season and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. So you can stream games during Mad March hours, check the weather for April showers, and watch gardening videos about May flowers. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 4/15/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires purchase of single line gold unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
The Fox 6 weather experts are presented by AdventKnows.com.
Increase in cloud cover today with high temperatures reaching the low 30s by the afternoon. Breezy northerly winds changing to the southeast today could be gusting near 25 miles an hour, making it feel like the 20s. Chance of snow with some freezing drizzle moving in tonight. Fox 6 meteorologist Lisa Michaels.
This report is sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help you troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and help you save time and money down the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Hey, it's Alec Baldwin. This season on my podcast, Here's the Thing, I speak with musician, photographer, and philanthropist Julian Lennon.
Photography really does allow me to do that. I have empathy for people on the other side of the world that you'll never ever meet, but you'll at least have some understanding of what their life is and what they went through or are still going through.
Listen to Here's the Thing on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Here's the Thing and start listening.
Rule number one. I'm number one.
97.3 The Game.
No, he won't have it, he knows his whole back to these ropes. It don't matter, he's dope, he knows that, but he's broke. He's so stagnant, he knows when he goes back to this mobile home, that's when it's back to the lab again, yo. This old rhapsody better go capture this moment.
Welcome back in. It's the Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas right here on 97.3 The Game. Waterstone Bank is proud to partner with Journey House. Journey House has been transforming lives in and around Milwaukee since 1969. Go to journeyhouse.org for more information. Journey House and Waterstone Bank, a perfect combination. With that, let's jump to the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line and bring in our Marquette insider from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. It's Ben Steele. Benjamin, good morning to you, sir.
What's up, guys? How we doing today?
We're doing good. Thanks for taking some time out to join us this morning. I know it's got to be a busy day for you, not only with the game, but I'm sure there's a lot of ancillary stuff, being that it's National Marquette Day. We got a game coming up against UCONN that we'll get to in a moment. But, Ben, you had an interesting article, I thought, I don't know if it was yesterday or 2 days ago, in the Journal Sentinel talking about this Marquette team and puzzles. You want to expound upon that a little bit?
Yeah, it's funny. It seems like every year the Marquette players kind of get into something that's not basketball related, away from the court. A couple years ago, like when Oso Ighodaro was on the team, he got really into poker, online poker, and he got a couple people into it. This year, it's the team seems to be really into building Legos. Which, it may seem like a child. Some people would dismiss it as a childish thing, but there is a very thriving adult Lego community, I found. Just looking around and Googling around, there's some documentaries about this. But yeah, last month, Marquette has this like Secret Santa, like most teams or companies do, for their holiday party, and a couple of guys gave each other Legos, and then it kind of snowballed from there. They started ordering sets every week, and now they're really into these elaborate sets, and they kind of sit together most nights and just kind of put together these large, complex Lego sets, and it's kind of interesting.
I don't think you outgrow Legos.
No,
it's always going to be fun to just sit there. And although I think it's sad that it's the sets now. Nah, just build.
Yeah.
Just do your thing.
Well, the only thing I could do is stack. You make your tower, knock it over, try again. Go ahead, Dan.
Ben, Marquette's got the defending national champion in town, and you've watched and reported on a lot of basketball. Do you get excited about these games, or have you just kind of gotten to that place in your career? It's like you don't allow yourself to go there, because there's a vibe to this game. You can feel it across the city. There's a lot going on. Do you allow yourself to get caught into that?
I'm a human being, right? As far as I know. You always know, like, there's just a different vibe in the air, like you mentioned. I mean, it's different than if 1-11 DePaul comes to town, right?
Sure. Right.
Games where you're expected to win. And yeah, anytime you get the defending national champions in town, that's always a big deal. add on National Marquette Day on top of that, add in, this is a National Big Fox game, not FS1, Big Fox game with Gus Johnson on the call. So it's always just different. It's like, like an NBA playoff game. It just feels different. Like sold out crowd, standing room only. It's just different. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely, you definitely feel different going into these kinds of games for sure. Definitely.
Hey, Ben, let's go back a game before we talk about tonight's game against UConn, and that was the matchup against Butler. Kind of a slow start. What I thought was impressive, though, was not that Cam Jones got into foul trouble, but when he did get into foul trouble, all of a sudden Stevie Mitchell not only had his normal prowess on defense, but he did some things offensively that I don't think I'm used to seeing. And it was kind of neat to see the fact that even with a Cam Jones struggling, you found other players who easily stepped in on that given night and filled his void.
Yeah, it's, Stephen Mitchell's kind of made himself into this essential glue guy, defensive guy. He's a candidate for Big East Defensive Player of the Year. But in high school, like a lot of players, he was a bucket getter. He scored over 2,000 points at Wilson High School in Reading, Pennsylvania, which is historically a great basketball program in that state. So he could do those sort of things. He's just not his role when he got to college. But this is back-to-back games for him where he scored his career high in points. He had 21 against Villanova and then 22 against Butler. So he could do those sorts of things. But what was most impressive to me was the bench guys. I think we talked about this the last time I was on the show, that was one of the biggest concerns for this Marquette team was its depth and how much it had relied on its starters and how much the team had struggled when Cam Jones was off the floor. I think it was an encouraging sign to see for Shaka Smart in that game against Butler with guys like Trey Norman and Zayd Lowry, what they were able to do. I think they combined for 10 points. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when, you had a game against DePaul that went into overtime earlier last month, when the bench didn't score at all, it's got to be a good sign. Those guys are really good defensively. They played more minutes, obviously, with Cam Jones is out. So now it becomes they got to build off that. It can't just be a one-game blip, against a team that's in the bottom of the Big East standings. They got to do it against big-time teams. And this is a huge stretch for Marquette, which I'm sure we'll talk about. You got Connecticut tonight, St. John's, at St. John's next week, at Creighton next week too. This is probably the toughest stretch of Marquette season coming up right now.
Do you, looking at kind of this emergence of Stevie Mitchell a little bit, but looking at the last game, Ben Gold's got 7 rebounds but 0 points. How is he progressing? What does he need to do?
Yeah, Ben Gold's kind of it's always kind of a matchup thing with him. He struggles against bigger centers because he's more of the pick and pop, outside shooter, finesse type center. So I think if you look at his game logs throughout the season, there's a lot of fluctuation between his point production, but I think those 7 rebounds are big for him.
Right.
Because that's, we talked about this on the show before too, that's an area where Marquette can struggle. So anytime you see him pulling down 7 rebounds, that's a good sign. But I think, it's interesting with Ben. He's just a matchup nightmare for a lot of teams. And we could see that tonight, against Connecticut. UConn kind of plays Samson Johnson's kind of more traditional. He likes to play in the drop coverage and stay around the rim. So we'll see if Ben Gold can pull Samson Johnson away from the rim tonight. That's going to be kind of a key thing to watch for tonight. So, Ben Gold's always like a matchup thing. I think whenever I look at him and look at his stats and what he brings to Marquette.
Ben, going into tonight's game, I think one of the players that has to be, watched, looked at, whatever you want to phrase it as, for UConn is Liam McNeely. Now, the freshman has been hurt. The last I had seen is he's still a game time decision. This team is completely different with him on the floor. When you take the games that he's played to the games that he's had to sit due to injury. Have you gotten any word about how things are progressing for Liam and whether or not he will see the floor tonight at Fiserv Forum?
Yeah, it seems like he's really close. Dan Hurley had a conference call yesterday after their practice. That was late afternoon. He said Liam McNeely went through the whole practice, which is a good sign. And then now it's the monitoring situation. How did he feel last night? How does he feel this morning? How's that ankle respond when they go through the shoot around? So he's definitely close. I would think that, this could be a game where they need him for sure because, he got hurt, I think it was January 1st, and he's missed 7 games. I was reading the story earlier today, and they're 4-3 in those games, so you could see the importance of him, and he's really key to, if you watch UConn the last couple of years, all the crazy off-ball movement and getting shooters into space and all the crazy offense that those guys like to run. McNeely's key to that because you have to account for him on every play because he has like 30-foot range. He's a great shooter. I would think we'd see him today, but, we never know with these kind of things. It's all about how he feels, but I would anticipate, I think Marquette's kind of anticipating he might see at least a little time tonight. Now, after missing a month, I don't know how effective he'll be, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see when the ball tips up tonight.
Fair enough.
What's your opinion, Ben, of how Marquette's forwards match up against UConn's forwards with Caravan and Stewart?
Yeah, that's going to be tough too. I think, you'll definitely see a lot of Stevie Mitchell on those guys, even though Steve is a little smaller than them, but he can keep up with them and all that ball movement and player movement that I was talking about earlier. And then Chase Ross too. He's going to be a key defensive guy. I imagine they'll start him on Caravan. And yeah, we'll see. Marquette definitely has the athletes that can run with those guys. So I think Marquette can keep up with them that way. And yeah, the key for Marquette is just to not let those guys get hot, especially Caravan from the 3-point range.
Ben, I said in the beginning of our show today that I thought UConn was a bit vulnerable and that this is kind of the right time to pick them off, so to speak. Yeah. The professor kind of took the other angle that, they're getting through what we'll call the regular season and that this is UConn. They'll peak. I think I'm paraphrasing correctly. They'll peak when they get to, the Big East tournament and obviously the big dance. What's your view of UConn so far this season?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different team. You don't have the big center like Donovan Clegan that they had last year. But I think that coaching staff, they've earned the benefit of the doubt, right, for what they've done the last 2 years. And I think you're both right in that right now is the perfect time to beat them. Just they're banged up. It's not just McNeely too. Like Hassan Diarra is probably their best defensive guy. He got hurt in the last game, and I think Danny Hurley mentioned yesterday that he kind of sat out portions of practice too, and he's going to be the guy that's going to have to guard Cam Jones. He's going to probably shadow Cam Jones all across the court tonight if he plays. I'm assuming he'll play. How effective he'll be, we'll see. But I think once they get everybody healthy and just, like I said, that coaching staff, what they've done, I think once they have a complete roster at the end of the season, assuming they'll get healthy at the end of the season, they're always going to be dangerous if you get them in a tournament and how they can match up and the X's and O's that staff can do. They're always going to be dangerous in a tournament situation.
So I'm curious, kind of when you look at these two teams, kind of the personalities of these two teams come from their coaches. So you've got two, I would argue, fiery coaches, right? Shaka Smart is not afraid to allow his personality show, as well as Danny Hurley, and put that together. Yeah. You're close to the sideline and you're close to Shaka Smart and have had the opportunity to meet these guys. I'm curious about how do these guys, are they wired the same or they don't get along? Is there a mutual respect? What is this like?
Oh, yeah, it's funny. I think I mentioned this last season before the game to Shaka Smart. I was like, yeah, you guys are both kind of animated on the sideline. Shaka stopped me and said, that's true, but we are very, very different. He wanted to make the point, Danny Hurley's more toward the refs. Shaka talks to the refs a little bit, like all coaches do, but I don't think anyone's quite at the Hurley level. So he wanted to make that clear. But yes, they are very both animated. But if you look through any interview with post game after any UConn Marquette game, the last 4 years since Shaka's been here, Danny Hurley has always been very, very complimentary of how Shaka runs his program. He has a lot of respect for the way they go about doing things at Marquette, just the old school way, which we've talked about many times, of player development and, not resorting to the transfer portal for quick fixes. Danny Hurley, of course, loved Tyler Kolek, and he was always complimentary about him, and also Iguodala too. So there's definitely a lot of respect on both sides for sure.
Hey, Ben, thank you so much for jumping on as you always do. I know, again, today's a busy day with UConn in town, National Marquette Day. But as always, we just love having you on, and we appreciate your insight. Have a great day. Enjoy the game, sir.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon.
All right. That's Ben Steele from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel as Marquette gets ready to take on UConn. We'll take a timeout as we make our way to the top of the hour. We come back. We'll get to some headlines. And again, coming up at 9 o'clock, David Gasper is going to join us. We'll talk some Badger hoops as well. This is the Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas, 97.3 The Game.
I want them gummy squares. I want them gummy squares. I want some sleepy with no more anxiety. I need them gummy squares. I need them gummy squares. I need my wife to find her happy place really soon. We have Delta 8 CBD and new Delta 9s. Go to happyplacehemp.com.
Happyplacehemp.com. 25% off with promo code DrewKB. Happyplacehemp.com. KB, I think our smart, good-looking listeners know that we enjoy our bourbon.
If they don't, I can't help them.
Our friends at Central Standard made some of the finest spirits I've ever tasted, like their Red Cabin Bourbon, aged perfectly and finished in California Cabernet wine casks with notes of oak and caramel.
I'm all about the smoothness, and I love the amber finish that follows every sip.
Red Cabin is a 2-time gold medal winner from the Los Angeles International Spirits Competition.
Perfect for nights by the fire pit, next to your fireplace, and all your holiday gatherings.
Central Standard's Red Cabin Bourbon, you will not be disappointed.
Spring forward with real unlimited data from Straight Talk this tax season and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. So you can stream games during Mad March hours, check the weather for April showers, and watch gardening videos about May flowers. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 4/15/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires purchase of single line gold unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
The Milwaukee Admirals host division-leading Grand Rapids at Panther Arena both Friday at 7 and Saturday at 6. Friday the 7th, 5,000 fans score drawstring bags courtesy of We Energies. And join us for Women in Sports Night. Special ticket packages are available that include a pregame networking event, a game ticket, and a t-shirt. Visit MilwaukeeAdmirals.com to check out special ticket packages and the impressive list of Women in Sports guests, as well as the Ian's Pizza Student Night and Women in Sports ticket packages. Saturday the 8th, 3,000 fans get a Screamin' Sicilian Admirals oven mitt, and Lee Jeans, Coors Light, and Toyota presents legendary classic rock powerhouse 38 special in a post-game concert. The Ads battle Springfield Thursday, February 13th at 7, and 3,000 fans will take home a Cupid-inspired bobblehead of Admirals alum Zach LaRue, thanks to Wrangler Jeans. Plus, it's a Summerfest winning weekday, and an Admirals victory scores all attendees a ticket to the Tuesday, February 25th home game. That's Admirals Hockey. Friday at 7, Saturday at 6, and Thursday, February 13th at 7. Admirals Hockey is presented by Landmark Credit Union. For ticket info, including special ticket packages, upcoming promotions, or stylish ads merchandise, visit MilwaukeeAdmirals.com or download the Admirals app. And remember, don't just buy tickets, invest in memories.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online wagering in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-timer, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on football playoffs, pro and college basketball, hockey, and cage fighting. With every touchdown to three-pointer and hat trick, BetOnline has you completely covered for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here.
Infinity's app shows precise costs of your new roof, providing peace of mind.
Infinity costs less, and the price we quote is surprise-free.
Because we pay less, you pay less. Warranted, guaranteed quality.
Installing peace of mind. InfinityRoofing.com.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS. Call Civic Tax Relief for free information now. Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
Just call 800-841-0908. 800-841-0908. 800-841-0908.
It's time to say goodnight to that check engine light with the free AutoZone Fix Finder service. It'll help troubleshoot the likely cause of your light for free, so you can drive with peace of mind. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Number 1, 97.3 The Game.
I just got the news. Got it printed in the paper. Everything that you do, you wanna party to rock and roll. It's a hot news hit for your radio. It's the headlines. Tell me, have you heard it? Headlines. Read all about it, baby. Headlines. Headlines.
All right, welcome back in Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas, right here on 97.3 The Game. This segment being brought to you by Eric Ulvog. Biggie!
There you go.
And his staff at Micro Realty ERA Real Estate, your go-to team whenever you need local experts. Give them a call for any of your real estate needs. You can find that being Eric, and his staff at 414-467-1030. Once again, that's 414-467-1030. We got time really for one quick one as far as headlines go as we make our way to the top of the hour. And again, coming up at 9, David Gasper will join us to talk about this Badger basketball team. Much like Marquette, had a great January, now getting into the nuts and bolts, so to speak, of their schedule. But USA Today, Yahoo, some other sites got a hold of the response that Michigan had to the NCAA with regards to the whole scandal with the cheating and the whole 9 yards as far as scouting goes. And I always find these retorts kind of interesting, Dan, in and of the fact that you get Michigan, their response in one essence of Jim Harbaugh not realizing that this guy was sitting in a defensive meeting, a coaches meeting. When you have somebody like Harbaugh who is as anal retentive as they come, as far as micromanaging, as far as knowing where every little piece of his program is at any given point, and then suddenly you play he didn't know he was there. He had no idea what he was up to. This, to me, is when you get a university like Michigan, an esteemed university, a research academically sound university, look like a big piece of on a Saturday morning, because you play the dumb card, and you can't play the dumb card in a situation like this. It just it comes across wrong, and it really belies any other argument that you may have trying to, in essence, justify your actions.
Yeah, look, I really think that Michigan's strategy in this whole thing is it's over. It's done. Harbaugh's out the door. Let's just say what we have to say and then move on. You're right. Look, their respond to, we had no idea.
Yes.
It sounds, it is so un-Michigan for the Michigan men that are out there. And then suddenly just, we had no idea this man. I never recognized that man. I never knew he was there. Stop. Okay. This thing is done. It's over. They're never going to own it, but just being able to, I'd rather have them go walk up to a podium and say, we've talked about this enough. This is over. We're going to move on. We've got a new coach. We've got this, that, the other thing. The story demands a response. How it went down, but at the same time, the way they responded, But it's Michigan. We're better than everybody.
Well, and that's the way they took it, right, Jeffrey? They took the stance that we are just high and mighty and we're above
Maybe you
everybody
forgot
else.
who we are.
Yes. Yeah. And so just listen to what we have to say and go on about your business.
Well, wow, how cynical you guys are.
I listen to the glass half full over there.
I believe them. Why would they lie? It is an institute of higher education. They're bound by duty to tell you the truth.
What kind of duty are we talking about?
Well, you know. But,
duty?
Oh, yeah, I believe them. I believe him. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, this is the top of the hour. We're going to make an emergency call and get Jeff examined here as we get ready for the second hour. As we said, coming up, once we get done with the break here, we'll bring in David Gasper. We'll talk some Badger basketball. Again, a very successful January and heading into a very difficult part of their regular season as we all make our way towards March in the conference tournaments and then the big dance. So we'll get to that again once we get past the top of the hour. It's the Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas, 97.3 The Game.
The Game is heading to New Orleans for Super Bowl win.
We're going to the Super Bowl!
All shows every day.
Is this where the party's at?
Milwaukee's home for Super Bowl 59 is 97.3 The Game.
Sarah Spain for iHeart Women's Sports, presented by Capital One. The 7th-ranked LSU Tigers women's basketball team topped the 13th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners 107-100 on Thursday, the first game in SEC women's basketball history in which both teams scored 100 points in regulation. Michaela Williams led LSU with 37 points. Flau'jae Johnson had 25, and Anissa Morrow added 21 in the win. For more women's sports stories, subscribe to Good Game with Sarah Spain on iHeart Podcasts.
Capital One is a founding partner of iHeart Women's Sports Network. With the Capital One Spark Cash Plus card, you earn unlimited 2% cash back on every purchase for your business with the Capital One Spark Cash Plus card. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/SparkCash for details.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Get ready for the grooviest celebration of the year. Join us at American Place Casino for our Woodstock and Wildflowers 2-year anniversary bash on Saturday, February 15th. We're giving away $50,000 in cash and free play with winners drawn every 15 minutes from 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. Participate in our costume drawing for a chance to win $500 in free play. Come celebrate our 2-year anniversary. Don't miss out on all the fun promotions and live entertainment. Peace, love, and big jackpots await. Visit AmericanPlace.com for more details.
Must be put in the nearest page or if you or someone you know has a gambling problem. Crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
Febreze. So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Getting your guaranteed maximum refund with TaxSlayer feels like discovering a refund tree has grown in your backyard.
I'm the refund tree.
Sawing off its branches.
Hey.
Feeding them through a wood chipper.
My branches! My beautiful branches!
And dancing in its refund rain. Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
Transition matured savings bonds, certificates of deposit, and whole life insurance into assets protected from creditors, even Medicaid drawdown. With Refi Trust, zero fees, zero taxes. Refi Trust takes just minutes. We do all the work. Refi Trust, your assets, your choice. RefiTrust.com.
People can't stop screaming about Screamin' Sicilian frozen pizza. And no wonder. There's plenty to scream about, like the buttery stone-fired crust, secret recipe tomato sauce, mounds of whole milk mozzarella, and tons of premium toppings. Find Screamin' Sicilian in your local grocer's frozen aisle and find out for yourself why Sport called Screamin' Sicilian Holy Pepperoni Frozen Pizza the best of the best. Screamin' Sicilian. Taste what all this screaming is about.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So you've got an oil change coming up. We can help you save on the right oil for your vehicle. Right now, get 5 quarts of Castrol Edge Full Synthetic or Castrol Edge Full Synthetic High Mileage Motor Oil with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for just $35.99. Visit one of our 6,000 stores or order from AutoZone.com for same-day store pickup or next-day delivery.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Got excess mucus living rent-free in your chest? That's what's causing your chest congestion. So treat the cause and kick out mucus with Mucinex 12-Hour. Each bi-layer tablet thins and loosens mucus for 12 hours. The immediate release layer starts treating chest congestion right away, while the extended release layer ensures long-lasting relief. One dose lasts 3 times longer than 4-hour medicines. Take back your day with Mucinex 12-Hour. Buy now at your local retailer. Use as directed.
Badgers football plays here. This is WRNW-FM Milwaukee, 97.3 The Game.
Welcome to the Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank and presented by Sewer Ninjas. Now, here's your host, Don Wachillis, and the professor, Dan Underberg.
All right, welcome back in. Hour number 2 of the Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas, right here on 97.3 The Game. Our thanks to Sewer Ninjas, dedicated to solving your home sewer issues with the latest no-dig sewer repair technology to minimize cost and disruption. Find out more at sewerninjas.com. And our thanks as well to Waterstone Bank, established in 1921, offering a full suite of personal and business banking products. Come for the outstanding customer service, stay for everything else. Bank easier at Waterstone Bank. See everything they have to offer at WSB Online. Remember, the show can be interactive. You join us on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line. We got a text in from Ryan and Tosa. Shout out to Ryan for joining us today. We appreciate that, as well as the rest of you who have found us on Facebook or on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. However you've come about our fine program, we do love having you on board on this Saturday morning. We're going to jump right now to the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line and bring in the man that you hear daily with No BS, with Armin and Billy, and then you will find him doing a magnificent job in the Madison area following Badger basketball games. David Gasper now joining us. David, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Doing good. How are you boys doing?
We're doing fantastic. Again, I know for you, you've got some work to do today as the Badgers will be taking on Northwestern. The game will be right here on 97.3. Right around, 12 o'clock, I think we'll head for pregame, as we'll have Matt LePay, Brian Butch on hand down at Northwestern, again, as the Badgers take on the Wildcats. David, it was a heck of a month, 6-2 throughout the month of January. Unfortunately, the loss on the road the other night to Maryland. But this Badger team, after a bit of a hiccup to start the Big Ten season, has really, no pun intended, rebounded and playing some really good basketball right now heading into the month of February.
Yeah, they have been, and it's been great to see. I mean, we've seen the two Johns, Sanjay and Blackwell, really take off and take over the control of this team all year. We've seen Stephen Crow go on a big run after head coach Greg Gard called him out a couple of weeks ago for not having any rebounds. And Crow went on a big run, and some teams have been trying to key on him and keep him in check a little bit over these past couple of weeks now, because He's just been an absolute menace out there. So this team has a lot of scoring threats. They've been playing very well. They've been shooting the ball incredibly well. That's really helped them too in a lot of these wins, because they're going to be living and dying by the three ball a lot this year. And when it's been falling, they've been winning games and winning them handily. And when it's not falling like it did against Maryland, you're going to see them fall behind and maybe not be able to catch up. So Maryland's a tough environment, being on the road out there anyways. First game students are back for second semester. It was a pretty loud atmosphere, very tough place to play. So that game was there to be had, but that home court advantage that the Terrapins had, it was just going to be too much for them to overcome.
As we look now into the second half of the Big Ten season, and again, this is where teams begin to separate themselves a little bit and move back and forth. I'm curious about your opinion on the health of the team right now, because it's not uncommon where you can start to see guys lose their legs a little bit. They can break down a little bit. What's your opinion on at least the starting five and maybe a couple deep into the bench?
Yeah, I think so far they've been pretty healthy this season. Max Klesmit did miss a game with an ankle injury, and he's bounced back and he's been in there. He's been playing the last couple of games. But other than that, no one's really dealing with any sort of major injuries. Ricardo Greppi on the bench had a knee issue, but he's got a brace and he's out there playing. Really, the only concern with Klesmit is that he hasn't found his shot really all season. Offensively, his numbers have been really down this year. 3-point shooting, regular shooting, he's not taking as many shots, not nearly the scoring threat that he was last year. We know he has the capability to go off in some games on occasion, but they've been fewer and far between this year, which is a little concerning. But at the same time, when you have Tanjay and Blackwell who have the ability to go off like they do, and Kamari McGee in an increased role this year, that has certainly helped to mitigate the loss of Klesmit's offense. So that's really my large concern with him, but that was an issue before the ankle injury. But since then, he's been playing fine. He doesn't look like he's limited at all. And the Badgers have, knock on wood, stayed healthy pretty much so far this year.
You had mentioned about Kamari McGee taking on that more prominent role. Is there any indicator, any sign that maybe Kamari McGee might be closer to a starting role instead of Klesmit?
I don't think so. I think with the way that they've been running this team and the role that McGee finds himself in, I think he's really good in that role, and changing it to a starting lineup spot, I don't think it's something that they're very strongly considering right now, because even if Klesmit's not bringing a ton offensively, there's still a lot that he does bring out there on the court with defense, with energy, with leadership, that they like having him out there. And I think having McGee lead that second unit is something that Greg Gard really likes having, and I think they're going to be good with keeping those roles the way that they are right now. We may end up seeing McGee for more minutes, but I think when the game starts, it's still going to be Klesmit out there. So I don't think they're close to making any sort of a change like that. And they're going to kind of keep things the way that they have been, provided everyone is healthy. McGee did get the start when Klesmit did have that injury earlier on in the season. So I think that's something that if another injury pops up with Klesmit, that could happen. But provided that he's healthy, I think we're going to see Klesmit in that starting lineup still.
David, looking at this season, what has been the one thing that has surprised you most? For me, it has just been how this team can get in transitionally and get some points on fast break opportunities. I think we have this vision of the Badgers just being, slow it down, play old-fashioned four-corner basketball like in Hoosiers, and try and wear you down. But this team defensively still has its prowess, but yet they've got the ability now to really play an up-tempo style when needed, something that I don't think a lot of people, if you would have asked Greg Gard's coaching style and given, someone's interpretation of it, would have ever fathomed that they would have transitioned the way they have so far this season.
Yeah, I think that's one of the great things about Coach Gard and what he's been able to do these last couple of years, how he's really been able to, transition with the times and get a more modernized version of this team in order to adapt to this era of college basketball with the scoring, with the transfer portal, things like that, how he's been able to do with that and transform himself in his coaching style and the offense that the Badgers run. Being able to do that it's been absolutely incredible for Greg Gard. And it's why the Badgers are as good as they are this year. And another one of those big surprises is John Tonje that he brought in from the transfer portal. I mean, he's coming off an injury-riddled season last year, and no one really kind of knew what to expect from Tonje. I mean, we knew that he had some scoring ability from 2 colleges ago, but what really is there that we've seen from him from Missouri, and now he comes over. He's a 6-year senior. What are you going to get out of him? And you've gotten all that you could ask for and more out of John Tonje, and he's kind of helped lead this change and lead this new offense this year, and that's been remarkable to see and a big surprise to many because none of us really knew much about Tonje when he came here, but the offense's ability to score at the pace that they do, it's a big change from what we've known of Badgers teams in the past. It's a change in the offensive philosophy, but it's getting with the times. It's being able to succeed in modern day college basketball, and Gard's been able to do that, and he's been able to keep some of those roots with the defense and what Wisconsin's known for, but also still be able to make it better to work in 2025. And that's been really the greatest thing to watch with this year's team.
One of the interesting things for me as the story, or as the season has progressed, has been the story about Stephen Crowell, and obviously the comment made by Greg Gard earlier in the season. I think you can argue that a big part of the reason that Wisconsin has gone on this run in January has been in the improved performance of Crowell. But what specifically have you seen him improve that has allowed him to be, far more productive?
The aggressiveness is what he's improved, and that's what I think Gard was calling him out on, not being aggressive enough, getting rebounds, getting in there in the paint. And aggressive Stephen Crowell is a good Stephen Crowell, and we've seen that time and time again. We haven't seen it consistently enough throughout his Badgers career. He's had games where he's been aggressive. He's had games where he's been passive, and those passive games he doesn't do as well. The Badgers don't do as well. So getting him aggressive more consistently, getting him aggressive, every single game, I think that's something that has led to that increased scoring. That it's led to the increase in rebounds, and it's led to the overall better play down there in the paint because they need him to be good down there. They need him to be strong and aggressive, and that's how they're going to be able to play their best style of basketball. Having that threat inside is going to open up the three-point shooters on the outside, and the Badgers, we know, have made a big deal about their three-point shooting this year. It's why they're going to be successful, and in order to have not everyone guarding the three-point line, you got to have an aggressive presence down there in the paint, and that's what Crowell has been, and it's worked like a charm for the Badgers these past couple of weeks.
David, another factor, we were talking about the three-point shooting earlier, has to be the free throw line for this Wisconsin Badger team. Number 1 in the country as far as percentage goes. And yet, when it comes to the losses, as we've seen throughout this season at varying points, it's been the free throw line that you could really look at where they struggled a little bit. And that would be the differential as far as the loss goes. So you go back to Maryland, they go 5 of 9 for 55% in the first half. Much better in the second half, but 71% is far below what they normally shoot. You take that 3-point percentage that you were speaking of earlier, and then you couple that with what they can do at the free throw line. If they can make those free throws like they have at different points during the season to propel themselves to that number 1 ranking, this team has got the potential to have a great run down the back half of the season.
Absolutely. Their ability to get to the free throw line and convert there. It's so important when you get into close games down the stretch in order to be able to hit your free throws, in order to pull ahead, stay further ahead, and for for you to win in March, you got to be able to hit your free throws. And I feel like it's been a common theme in most, if not all of their losses. They either don't get to the free throw line as much as they usually do, or they don't convert as often as they usually do when they do get there. So I feel like if we go back through all their losses this season, that's kind of been the trend, the theme that we see in those games. And then in their wins, they get to the free throw line early and often, and they convert, a very high percentage of their chances. So it's a big thing for them. I remember a couple of years ago, Badgers were one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the country. And now just seeing them be able to focus on it and see how much they've improved and being the number one team in the country in free throws, it's been a remarkable turnaround, remarkable change. And these guys have just been nails when it comes to that, and it's helped them win a whole ton of their games. And that's something that they just need to continue to keep up. And when they get into tournament time, they're going to need to have those games where they keep getting to the free throw line and they convert, because but then when you're one and done, you can't afford to have those miscues at the free throw line.
As we get into tournament time, looking at the Big Ten standings right now, obviously there's still more games to be played, a lot of shaking out left to do. But there's a collection of teams, 7-4, 6-4, 6-5, 5-5, all, within games of each other. When you look at the Big Ten right now, the expanded Big Ten, what teams have surprised you in terms of their production, and what teams have surprised you in terms of their lack thereof?
Yeah, I mean, the Big Ten, it's such a, it's a conference that's going to beat up on itself as all these teams play each other throughout the course of a season. There's so many good teams, so many good programs that are going to be there. So, really just kind of, the Big Ten. I mean, Michigan State's been having a phenomenal year. And you've got a lot of really good teams here at the top. You got a lot of good teams in the middle as well. So it's really something that, there's still a lot more time to kind of shake out. And, really, I'm not too terribly surprised by a ton of things in the Big Ten this year. It's always kind of been that kind of beating up on each other throughout the course of the regular season, and kind of a jumbled mess in the standings, because you win against some good teams, you lose against others, and everyone's ending up with all around the same record. And it's a lot of really strong performances from really good teams, really across the board, especially with new teams in the conference now. When you add in USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, it does make a big difference. And those are also other good programs that are just going to continue to muddy those waters in the middle there.
David, we've talked about, obviously, the free throw line, the 3-point shooting, and going into today's game against Northwestern. Granted, there's much more that needs to be done, but my focus point will be on Nick Martinelli, because throughout this season, you got a young man here who's averaging just shy of 20, had a real nice game against Illinois, had another nice game against Maryland, probably was the key factor as to why Northwestern got those wins. He, to me, is the one that I'll be watching as this day progresses with this game, in that if we can kind of bottle him up, I think that gives the Badgers a great chance to come out with a victory on the road.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big focus for them, Martinelli. And Northwestern is always tough to play. I mean, they always make it difficult. They always make it a stressful game, especially when you're at Northwestern. Another tough place to play, another gritty team, gritty style of play. And yeah, trying to stop Martinelli is going to be very important for the Badgers. And just like for everyone else, when they look at scouting the Badgers, it's like you've got to stop one of John Tonje or John Blackwell. Focus on stopping one of them, but you probably aren't going to be able to stop both of them. So I think that's going to be important for them as well. Being able to stop their top guy and forcing the secondary options to, be the ones that beat them. I think that's going to be a good recipe for Wisconsin. And luckily, also the recipe for Wisconsin, if you can only stop one guy between Tonje and Blackwell, odds are the other one is going to go off for 20 plus points.
Yeah, it's Wisconsin right now. When we look at this team, I would argue that it's probably the most well-rounded team that the Badgers have had in years. In putting that together, where would you have them if you look at this team right now? Where would you have them improve just to make that next jump?
I think where they need to improve is that defensive efficiency. They've also been turning the ball over a little bit too much still for my liking, but really that defensive efficiency, getting up there into the top 25 or so, is something that's going to be very important for Wisconsin to have success as they get into tournament time. It's right now about bottom part of the top 50, I believe they're in for defensive efficiency. So if they can improve that defense a little bit more and tighten things up there, I think that's going to go a long ways towards this team reaching its ultimate potential, because we really haven't seen a team as good as this, since those Final Four runs in the mid 2010s. We haven't seen an offense like this really since 1970. 71. That they're really kind of pushing the records from that era in terms of scoring output, what they've been doing. So that's something that really makes for an interesting kind of note, because we haven't seen this in so long. On the post game show, every show we got a fun facts with Dave that I like to throw in, and a lot of the fun facts, it's like, oh yeah, we haven't seen the Badgers do this since 1970, 71. I mean, that's when like all these numbers are kind of going back to. It's like that's the last time they're putting up numbers like this. So for them being able to have that kind of success, I mean, we haven't seen it in that long. Even looking at their 2014, 2015 Final Four runs, their offense was nowhere near as good as it is right now. The numbers that they were putting up, and they were an incredible offense back then. But just with the scoring, the free throws, they haven't done that kind of stuff. So it just makes for a very special team that the Badgers have this year that we haven't seen in a while. But yeah, improving that defense, I think, would go a long way towards Wisconsin being a legitimate threat for not only the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, but even beyond that.
Hey, David, thank you so much for joining us this morning and talking about the Badgers. Have a great post game later this afternoon, and we'll keep in touch. How's that sound?
Absolutely. Sounds good, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. That's David Gasper joining us on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line. Dan, when we go back as we're making our way to break, think about that 3-game stretch where it included Michigan, Marquette, and Illinois, three in a row, 3 tough teams in a row in which they came up with a loss. And then we started to, are we headed to, mayhem, so to speak, a little meh as far as the season. And from that point, after that Illinois loss, this team has been special. Like, they kind of found a rhythm and got into a situation in which now you've got what David was describing, a team that you hope could not only get into the second, but maybe the third week of the tournament.
Yeah. Kudos to Greg Gard and his staff for keeping that team on track and putting it together and not kind of losing their sight. And in all fairness, I don't think anybody anticipated that Michigan was going to be 7-2 at this point of the season. So Michigan ended up being better than anybody anticipated.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get to a break. On the other side of the break, we'll hit some of the D3 storylines in and around college basketball, and then we hand out some shovels to close things out today. It's the Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas, 97.3 The Game.
Touchdown! Saquon Barkley, 60 yards.
Super Bowl 59 is coming.
First down! Don't doubt him. All he does is win.
A rematch between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles.
We're going to the Super Bowl!
Don't miss a moment of the action live from New Orleans.
For the touchdown, Jalen Hurts.
Right here on your home for Super Bowl 59. 97.3 The Game.
Divergent Family Law is experienced attorneys dotting every I, crossing every T, assuring you carry all of the assets and custodial rights you are legally entitled to down your new life path. Divergent Family Law, separate and equal or better. DivergentFamilyLaw.com.
So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Spring forward with real unlimited data from Straight Talk this tax season and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. So you can stream games during Mad March hours, check the weather for April showers, and watch gardening videos about May flowers. Straight Talk, real unlimited data, available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 4/15/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires purchase of single line gold unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So you've got an oil change coming up. We can help you save on the right oil for your vehicle. Right now, get 5 quarts of Castrol Edge Full Synthetic or Castrol Edge Full Synthetic High Mileage Motor Oil with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for just $35.99. Visit one of our 6,000 stores or order from AutoZone.com for same-day store pickup or next-day delivery.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from
We can be twinsies.
to
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
The Fox 6 weather experts are presented by AdventKnows.com.
Increasing cloud cover today with high temperatures reaching the low 30s by the afternoon. Breezy northerly winds changing to the southeast today could be gusting near 25 miles an hour, making it feel like the 20s. Chance of snow with some freezing drizzle moving in tonight. Fox 6 meteorologist Lisa Michaels.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Perfect for instant contact with an aging parent. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get an extra 60% off. Free UPS shipping and add code radio for an extra 5% off.
The new iHeart app.
Yeah, I've been playing around with it.
Love my radio. Love my presets.
Thank you.
This is really easy to use.
Join the millions already on the new and improved iHeartRadio app and set your first preset. Plus, discover the new live radio dial, scan, lyrics, podcasts, playlists, and your favorite artists' radio.
Open the app and everything's right there. I love it.
The new and improved iHeartRadio app. It's everything you love about your car radio in the palm of your hand.
Go get it.
iHeartRadio.
This is the game.
Let's jam, y'all. Let's jam. Don't wait for your neighbor. Green eggs and ham. Doing the house quake.
All right, let's get ourselves back at it. Once again, it's the Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas, right here on 97.3 The Game. A reminder, after the broadcast, you can find our podcast. You got to search a little bit, but you'll find it. You find the little podcast tab at 97.3 The Game. You scroll a little bit, our icon will pop up, and in case you missed anything, or as we like to say, want to listen again for this fine program that we put forth, you can always find today's podcast again following our show here as we move forward with the D3 top 25 on the women's side. UW Oshkosh at 6, UW Stout at 15, UW Whitewater at number 20. On the men's side, UW Platteville falling from number 1 now to number 4 after a tough loss this past week. Wisconsin Lutheran holds steady at 7, and UW La Crosse sitting at number 10. And that was something, Dan, you and I were talking about briefly over the break, has been kind of the ascension of lacrosse basketball. I mean, we constantly talk about the Whitewaters, the Stevens Points of the WIAC, and lacrosse now has slowly but surely kind of made their way, we'll say, into the conversation.
Yeah, you could see this a couple of years ago, and you could see this in if we move a few seasons back,
yeah,
and we were seeing this with football, where as as an athletic department, you could see the changes where they were so close to making that jump to the next step. And then football was the first one to go, and now we're seeing basketball do the same thing, where they're having a lot of success. They're playing really, really well. And now lacrosse has kind of established themselves as one of the top athletic departments overall in the WIAC.
In the WIAC for sure. And again, it's crazy looking at the standing as we were doing again over the break, when you see Platteville and La Crosse, and you see some of what we would consider to be the proverbial powerhouses like Whitewater struggling a little bit this year. I mean, there's a definite Mason-Dixie line, so to speak, between the upper half and the bottom half right now within the WIAC. And for the first time maybe in a few years, I don't know how many teams we're going to see enter the tournament, because obviously you'll get the winner of the conference tournament. Now, I would suffice to say, if things were to stand as they do at this moment, and again, we've got 3 weeks before we start looking at D3 conference tournaments.
Yep.
If you were to, let's say, get a surprise based on what we see as far as the standings go, let's say a Stevens Point or a
exactly
Whitewater wins the WIAC, you've got an automatic 3, because at this point, you got to believe Platteville and La Crosse are going to get an at-large bid. And then if you could find one of those other teams that, shock the world, so to speak, and win the WIAC, you could see 3. But how many times have we been doing this show where we've seen 4 or 5 teams, and combined it on the women's side, we've had 8 or 9 teams that we've been keeping track of as far as the D3 tournament goes. I don't necessarily think that's the case this year, headed to this back stretch here, again, with only 3 weeks left as far as the D3 schedule goes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think you have these seasons every now and again where teams at the same time need to reset.
Yeah.
They've gone through a lot of senior leadership, and all of a sudden you have a very youthful team, an experienced team that's just trying to find their way again. I think you can look at a Stevens, or not, look at a Stevens Point and Whitewater, those types, and Oshkosh for sure, because we've become very used to Oshkosh being successful as men's basketball. So I think this is one of those years where, to your point, there is a line, that middle line in terms of where these teams are from the top tier teams to the second tier. But I don't think that's an indication of a permanent thing in the WIAC. These athletic programs in the league in general is just too good right now to kind of fall to the side. It's just, and then it's not going to happen all the time.
Yeah, it's just an anomaly.
That's
when
what I was looking for.
I figured you were. I'm here to help you, Dan. That's my job on a Saturday morning. When we see Platteville and La Crosse at 7-1. Now we're just talking about WIAC play. Eau Claire's 5-3, Stevens Point 4-4. Boom, there's your line, right? Because after that, Whitewater and Stout at 3-5, Oshkosh at 2-6, River Falls at 1-7. And to your point, a team like Oshkosh, who's been a perennial powerhouse within the WIAC, sitting right now at 2-6 just doesn't seem right. So you figure the way these teams have been built over the past decade or two, their history really tells you that this is just kind of a one-off year. And a team like Oshkosh could be that team we're talking about that does an Ali and shocks the world and wins the WIAC and then propels this conference to have 3 teams in the tournament.
Yeah, that's possible. But at the same time, I could see UW Platteville with all the sustained successes they have had until last week. That is a good basketball team. And I think they would be the presumptive favorite to win the tournament and go through that. So between Platteville and La Crosse, both sitting at 7-1, 17-2 overall, and then 16-3 respectively for those two programs, I think you've got to look at those teams and think to yourself, those are the top 2 for obvious reasons. But I think I would not be shocked to see that as the conference championship game.
No, I wouldn't either. And I mean, we talk about what Greg Gard has done with the Badgers. What his brother Jeff is doing at Platteville is just as special because, again, they've been a powerhouse all year, ranked number 1 in the country, had a rough go, fallen to number 4. That's a team, much like we heard David Gasper talking about entering the 3rd week potentially of the tournament with the Badgers. I could see the Pioneers of Platteville doing the same. Wouldn't that be a storyline to have both brothers in this instance go deep into their respective tournaments representing teams here from the Badger State.
Yeah, I that would be, this is one of those subtle little storylines that people like to read about a little bit and pull in and have that opportunity. I was a little surprised, guys, just going back to Platteville a little bit. They lost to Whitewater, and you dropped to number 4.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where I wonder about, again, I'm always curious about the voting in D3, because
you can be curious about the voting anywhere, right?
Right.
Who's doing it?
But D3 suddenly to be that good for that long, for that sustained, you lose to a quality opponent and you find yourself at number 4. That's just weird.
The drop is a little bit too big. Yeah, I tend to agree. JT Gritzmacher is the head coach over at La Crosse, since we were talking about the Eagles and UWL. A product out of West Dallas, somebody from the area, so to speak, coached at Bryan and Stratton, then took the next step. This is the kind of coach that I think we keep an eye on, because you're starting to see the steps up the ladder, right? What's the next move? I'm not trying to get rid of a successful coach from my alma mater, trust me, but you got the feeling that the way his path has already been laid out, that this is a coach that is starting to take those steps to see what is out there, and the success that he's had now at each level, where he will top out at. I mean, he's the kind of coach, I think, again, not trying to push a successful coach out of my alma mater, but I could see the next step for him being a mid-major, something in the Horizon League, something of that nature. And then seeing from there, could he take, the following step and find himself in a SEC, Big Ten, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it's always interesting for me when you follow the career trajectory of coaches in terms of what they want to do and what they love. You see a lot of great coaches decide to stay in D3 because they feel closer to the program, closer to the players, and do that, and that's what feeds them. And then you see other coaches see the opportunity, and probably the most classic example of that is going to be Bo Ryan, coming from Platteville, then going to UWM, finding the way over to Madison and having the success that he did. It will be interesting to watch his career, and hopefully he chooses to stay at La Crosse for a long, long time.
And it will be interesting because the state of college athletics is the way it is right now with NIL, the transfer portal. How many coaches? I'll be interested to see how many coaches, even at the D1 level, maybe go back to, let's say, D3, because of what you just alluded to. There's a connection yet with the players. It hasn't become transactional. It hasn't become completely businesslike. Let's not be naive. We know it. We know it's there. We know it exists. It's just not to the magnitude of what we see at the D1 level. I'd be interested to see. We've seen now some head coaches in D1 football, like Kelly, the offensive coordinator at Ohio State, step out of that head coaching realm and just say, put me as a coordinator. I just want to coach. I want to scheme. I want to do some old school stuff and not sit and have to recruit my own team, worry about how much money they're making, worry about the young man who's going to come in and demand X number of dollars, or I'm going to leave. I don't want to deal with those headaches. Translation back to what we were speaking of. How many may go back to D3? I don't think it'll be a lot because the pay difference is there.
That's exactly where I was going to go.
Which
that
I
is
completely
a
understand.
Drop.
Oh, yeah. But
no $40 million parachutes.
Okay, but take that parachute like some of these coaches get. So the bank account is good. So think of I'll use Jimbo Fisher as my example, gets a $70 million payout, and now has got the coaching itch, but necessarily doesn't want to deal with all of the mess at the D1 level, finds a D3 school near the home, bank account's good, and I get to just coach. I might take them up on that offer.
Right. I kind of think the same way. Whereas if I think of a guy like Tony Bennett, I don't think that he necessarily has all the coachings out of his blood yet. Right.
Yeah.
And good coach, successful coach, national championship coach. Do you have to feed that itch a little bit more and do something where you can just be the coach you want to be and not have to worry about NIL and portal and do those things?
Or pipe bomb, do you move into the broadcasting side of it like so many coaches do? Because when you're on the broadcasting side, you're never wrong.
Yeah, but if you're Jimbo Fisher, he's not going to get a Tom Brady like broadcasting contract. You talk about, these coaches, maybe going to D3 because they've got their money and all that kind of stuff. Name me a CEO that sat there and said, "Oh, I made enough, so I'm going to give back to my people." Or, "Oh, I made enough, so now I'm going to go work the fry station at McDonald's and just hang out in my later years." It's not going to happen.
Can I remind you that we went to the top of the hour? We said we were going to have Jeff checked out because something was amiss. He was too positive. Jeff is back. Jeff is back. There we go. We've got him back sitting in the chair. Want to go to one other conference real quick, and that's the NACC. Wisconsin Lutheran sitting on top at 10-1. St. Norbert 9-3, MSOE 8-3, and Concordia of Wisconsin at 7-5. Excuse me. There's your top four. Want to remind people, if you're heading downtown today to go to the Marquette game and looking to pull maybe a doubleheader, maybe get down there a little early because of parking. MSOE is playing at the Kern Center. They've got a NACC matchup today that tips off at 1, so you could get to see two games for, in essence, the price of one. You get some good parking because you've gotten down there early, and you spend the day watching some college basketball. Here for me becomes the interesting part. Wisconsin Lutheran is going to run away with this NACC regular season. Now, the NACC, much like we were talking about the WIAC, what happens if a St. Norbert, an MSOE, a CUW shocks the world, wins the conference tournament? I think Wisconsin Lutheran's an automatic at-large bid when push comes to shove. But what I've been looking at is the way St. Norbert over the last 10 has gone 5-5, and MSOE has gone 7-3 over their last 10. I'm looking to see, can MSOE overtake St. Norbert, who I think many thought would give Wisconsin Lutheran maybe a better run, a deeper run with regards to the regular season. And I'm poo-pooing a 9-3 record. That sounds a little ridiculous, but because Wisconsin Lutheran is 10-1, there is that differential there. I'm looking to see, can MSOE kind of supplant St. Norbert and make life really interesting once the NACC tournament comes about.
Well, and I'll go one step further than that, Don, because I look at the run that Concordia, Wisconsin is on right now. Concordia, Wisconsin struggled at the beginning of the season.
Yes,
it was very, very difficult. And now where do they find themselves? But in fourth place, I would argue that a lot of people would have just kind of looked at the rest of the season and say, okay, it's not the year this year for the Falcons, but here they are, one game behind MSOE with this momentum. They've been 7-3 in their last 10 games and played really, really well. So I think that the storyline is, I don't think includes Wisconsin Lutheran in the NAC. I think you really, to your point, you're looking at St. Norbert, MSOE, and Wisconsin and seeing how they kind of fight it out in these last 3 weeks of the season, because all of them have their obvious strengths, but the momentum feels like it's coming from MSOE and CUW.
Right. And momentum is always so important once we get into those tournament type situations. Today, again, MSOE will take on ITT at the Kern Center. 1:00 is the tip. So again, if you want to get down, make it a doubleheader. I think it would be spectacular. ITT is interesting in that they've struggled. They've lost like 11 in a row or whatever, but their 3 wins are against DePaul in a non-conference affair, who's pretty solid as far as college basketball goes. They've beaten MSOE when MSOE had to go there. So today is a bit of a revenge game, but they're the team that gave Wisconsin Lutheran their only loss.
Right.
And this is a team that sits at the bottom of the conference, so to speak, or at least towards the bottom. And it's the team that kind of found its niche and ended up beating Wisconsin Lutheran. So I'm expecting a good basketball game. And then, ready for the shameless plug? And if you can't make it down there, go to GoRaiders.com because I'll have the play-by-play once again tipping off at 1:00. All right, let's get to a break. As we get ready to close this thing out, we'll hand out some shovels and we'll do it next. It's the Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas. 97.3 The Game.
I said somebody's got to take care of him, so I quit school and that's what I did.
How would you like to win $1,000?
I would enjoy that and appreciate it very much.
It's grand in your hand. Your chance to win $1,000 just by listening. Weekdays when you hear the keyword, enter it at our website, 973thegame.com.
Woo! Sorry about that. This is Armin Sardian, and I just had a slice of Screamin' Sicilian. It's the premium frozen pizza that's so screaming good. Even just thinking about it, I sometimes, woo! Each Screamin' Sicilian starts with a super buttery crust that was individually rolled. Then, it's topped with a secret recipe tomato sauce, mounds of whole milk mozzarella, and the most toppings you've ever seen on a pizza. Seriously, one bite and you'll understand what all the screaming is about.
Woo! Jackpot!
Sounds like Brian Butch just found out. Find Screamin' Sicilian premium frozen pizza in the freezer at your favorite store. Screamin' Sicilian, it's so screaming good.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway.
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code LAUGH to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code LAUGH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code LAUGH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Welcome to Nada Yada Island.
Next on Metro's Nada Yada Island podcast. I almost fainted when the 4 new bombshells arrived. 4 free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G phones at Metro. No way. And finding out the 4th line is free. Oh, things got heated.
That's wild. Join Metro and get 4 free Samsung 5G phones. Only at Metro.
Plus tax. Bring 4 numbers and an ID and sign up for any Metro Flex plan. Not available currently at T-Mobile or been with Metro in the past 180 days.
If you love designer brands and you love clearance, then you're going to love this. Macy's is having a huge designer clearance event right now with incredible new designer markdowns on cold weather styles from BCBG, Hugo Boss, Michael Kors, and more. How big are the markdowns? How about Coach boots for $200 or less? So if you're looking for the things you love all in one place, come in and shop the designer clearance event at Macy's today. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS. Call Civic Tax Relief for free information now. Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
Just call 800-841-0908. 800-841-0908. 800-841-0908.
Rapid radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get 60% off. Free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off.
Ready? Go first, baby. Here you go. Let's go, Philly. I want Andy Reid. How about this team?
Your team's in the Super Bowl. What could be better?
One hell of a journey, boy.
Amazing.
The game is heading to New Orleans for Super Bowl week. All shows every day.
Is this where the party's at?
Milwaukee's home for Super Bowl 59 is 97.3 The Game.
It
know what? I won't shovel the funk. I won't shovel the funk. I won't shovel the funk. I feel like shovel the funk. I got shovel the funk. You wanna shovel the funk? Do you wanna shovel the funk? Then go ahead. Go on.
One last time, welcome in Journey House College Sports Show, powered by Waterstone Bank, presented by Sewer Ninjas, right here on 97.3 The Game. Shovel the Funk is being brought to you by the 414 Sports Podcast. You can check it out on Spotify, Apple, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts from. He's in town in what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah,
I think
that's
3
right.
weeks.
Mhm.
I think we need to get him on the show.
This is an official invite.
Let's start laying it out there
yeah.
now. He can hand out some shovels. We've only been doing it now for what, 10 years? I think we've been handing out shovels. About time he doesn't worry about Saturday Night Live or movies or concerts and joins us.
The real people.
The real people.
He could perform the song live on the air.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Acoustically. We'll bring him in acoustically to take care of business. All right. Let's hand out some shovels. Oh, Pipe Bomb, I start with you, my friend.
All right, mine goes to that idiot coach down at LSU, slapping clipboards, making a complete ass out of herself. You know, Elton John with a clipboard in her hand.
Kim Mulkey. Boy.
Oh, man. You know, way to make, maybe Angel Reese herself wasn't the problem. Maybe it's the attitude that's coming down from the powers above. So that's all I'll say.
You know, you got a point, because there was so much focus on Angel Reese, how she was the problem and her attitude and all of these other things. And now you watch a Kim Mulkey, and it almost feels like, some of Calipari, some of these coaches who buy into this persona that has been developed by the media, and they buy into it, and then you're watching them in essence disintegrate in front of your eyes. The Elton John reference, very good. Pipe bomb. Just done. Very well done on a Saturday morning.
You know what you're talking about when you hear it. Yeah.
Cups of coffee you had back there. Well done.
14,
All right, Professor, go ahead, sir.
Well, it's National Marquette Day, so this is for all the dentists and lawyers and all you vest-wearing people out there. My shovel's going to go to a guy that's had a great 2 games. He's kind of arrived this season. That's been Stevie Mitchell, playing really, really good basketball. He's that guy now that I think you can depend on if Cam Jones isn't operating the way you think he's going to. But he's had a really solid season, and a big reason why Marquette has been successful this year.
Yeah, I'm going to hand my shovel out to 3 of the 4 D1 teams that we have in our state.
We only have 3.
Well, I'm giving, credit, I guess, for it being on paper, and that being UW Green Bay. And this,
never heard of.
We have to say this. This is not a knock against Doug Gottlieb. I get he's struggling this year. I have no issue with a Doug Gottlieb whatsoever. Our issue from our show to that university is from the university, who over the years continually refuses A, to answer an email, B, answer the phone, or when they do, to get back after we've arranged for something to take place. So I always say 3 out of the 4, and that's Wisconsin, UWM, the Panthers, and of course Marquette, as you alluded to. Very successful months of January. Here comes February. Big games coming up. We've got Marquette and UConn today at Fiserv Forum. The Badgers right here, 1 o'clock, taking on Northwestern. Matt LePay, Brian Butch will have the call. David Gasper in the Madison area or on the app you will find doing the postgame show. And then tomorrow, UWM back on the floor. Hey, students, no excuses. Weather's not bad. It's a Sunday. There's no football. Would you please go support this team? Hello. All right, we got to get out of here. Our thanks to David Gasper and Ben Steele for joining us today. For the Polish Pipe Bomb, Jeff Orlowski, the Professor Dan Underberg, I'm Don Wachillis. We're back in 6 and 22.
Get ready for the grooviest celebration of the year. Join us at American Place Casino for our Woodstock and Wildflowers 2-year anniversary bash on Saturday, February 15th. We're giving away